How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning from 2006, directed by Jonathan Liebesman. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, and starring Jordana Brewster. And again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that as well. This is the prequel to the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this is actually the last Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie I hadn't seen, and with explaining that, I guess we'll just go ahead and dig into this. This movie, the reason why I hadn't seen it is because I saw the Michael Bay Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and I was really not a big fan of that. If you want to know more as to why, I do have a separate review for that. And in that review, I knew lots of people liked this movie, and I didn't really want to trash on a movie that I knew meant a lot to a lot of people. But that being said, I've been thinking about it a lot these past couple days, and I honestly, I could have gone harder on that movie. I probably could have. I'm really not a big fan of it. Long story short, it lacks the feel of the original, that documentary-style shooting, and it has this overly clean cinematography. It feels like a wannabe Rob Zombie movie. The whole thing's mean-spirited, and the family feels more like a conspiracy than a family, and I wasn't a big fan of it. It was a B-slasher, and it doesn't stand up to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Tobe Hooper film, one of my favorite films of all time, and it just was nowhere near as good, and to be honest, I really didn't like it. And in turn, The Beginning, knowing it's set in that same universe, I kind of stayed away from it until now. I was like, hey, there's one more in the series I haven't seen. I really need to finish this off. So I went ahead and put it in, and this is another case of, I know some people really like this movie, and if you like it, feel free to have a civil discussion in the comments. You're entitled to your own opinion, and I'm not trying to fight anybody, but that being said, I feel like this carries a lot of the faults of the original over into this prequel, but has even more, and let's just get into it. And again, if you guys do like this movie, you're entitled to your own opinion, and you can try to explain to me what you see about it in the in the comment section, because I'd like to know. But anyway, this movie starts off, I'm going to do the plot, but no major spoilers, by the way, but I do want to say my piece on a few things, and I want you guys, if you haven't seen it, to have an idea to what this movie's about. It starts off with a woman in a overly grungy sweatshop of sorts. I think it's a butcher's shop, but there's such a mess in there, who knows what they're doing. She's there, and she gives birth right on the work floor to what looks like a really bad puppet. I hope it wasn't a real baby, because then I feel super insulting, but it looks like a weird little puppet thing. This is a young Leatherface, so they throw the baby in the dumpster, where Leatherface's mom will find it. Not biological mom, the mom that would raise it, would find baby Leatherface, take the baby back home, and raise it as her son, which was a kind of interesting revelation, and you begin to wonder, okay, are we going to find out more interesting tidbits? But then from there, it skips way forward into the future to shortly before the first movie. So any little interesting bit of Leatherface growing up, that's all cut. So much for The Beginning. Leatherface is working as a butcher now. He has a mask on. It's not a human face because he's working a real job, and you can't show up to a real job with a human face stitched to your face. So he's got a sort of like brown half-mask thing, and I felt that was a good compromise. It gives him a different, interesting mask for this movie, and it's something that people might be okay with you wearing out in public. So that was kind of interesting. I like his classic mask more, obviously, but it makes sense for what it is. And I thought, hey, okay, it's a new movie, different mask, that's fine. So that I did like that. He's working in the butcher shop, and one day the butcher shop just closes. Now, if you remember the original Tobe Hooper film, it wasn't that the butcher shop had closed, they had just invented faster, more automatic ways to do that. If you've seen No Country for Old Men, that's the machine they kill cows with now, so they didn't need people smashing them on the head with sledgehammers anymore. So in the original it was automation, here everything's just closing down. So the butcher shop closes down, he gets upset and he kills his boss, chops them all up, and then the sheriff, the real Sheriff Hoyt, it's Hoyt, right? The real sheriff goes to Leatherface's family house to tell his family members he's going to arrest Leatherface, and offers to bring one of them along with him, which is a bafflingly dumb decision. If anyone's going to stop you from arresting this guy, it's going to be him. I don't know why you would take this guy along, because it's literally inviting them to betray you, which of course happens. The guy from Leatherface's family he invites over to help him arrest Leatherface, surprise, surprise, actually doesn't want his kin arrested. Who could have thought that? He kills the sheriff and then goes, hey, wait a minute, so many people are leaving this town, I can just take this sheriff's outfit. And again, another opportunity where maybe there was a cool, interesting backstory you could have told, but it's just, how'd you get that sheriff's outfit? Well, I took killed the sheriff, took it from him. It's not super interesting, but it happened, so now this guy is going around playing sheriff, and Leatherface is free to go there. Now, you cut to your main protagonist characters. Well, they've been kind of intercut throughout here, but it's these two brothers. One gets drafted for the army and he really doesn't want to go, and the other has gotten back from the army, found out his brother was drafted, and opted to voluntarily take a second term so he could be with his brother and watch over him. His brother, his girlfriend, and his brother's girlfriend are all going down to the army recruitment station so they can go off and join the army, but unbeknownst to the older brother, the younger brother is thinking of secretly taking his girlfriend and dodging the draft in Mexico. So that's sort of the whole dramatic plot there, and what they're going to be arguing about. They eventually get into a tussle with this biker lady, and luckily for them, the sheriff shows up, but unluckily, it's not really the sheriff. And then it kind of gets into the same thing the first movie was about. Hoyt taking these people going, I'm the law, don't disobey the law, and just making him do crazy things, and it should be pretty obvious he's not real right off the bat. But he just like the first movie, takes these characters, arrests them, and drags them and does whatever, just drags them to wherever he wants them to go and tortures them, and that's pretty much it. Again, it was something I'd seen a lot of in the first movie, and we're doing it again here. Now let's go over this movie's major flaws, the things I have problems with. First of all, this is called The Beginning, and you get an origin story movie, I expect a lot of cool things to happen, you know, like you found out Leatherface was found in a dumpster. Okay, that's something interesting. But overall, the big revelations, it's like stuff you would just have guessed. He killed the sheriff and took the outfit. How'd Leatherface get a mask? Well, he was wearing one. Then he's like, you know, he kills someone's like, hey, I'll cut your face off and wear it as a mask. There's no big revelations. They don't focus on telling any interesting story of a world that was one way and then got to another. It's just, you know, butcher shop closed down, Leatherface killed one guy, I guess we're killing people now. And it's no big, interesting story with any weird and interesting revelations. It's just something that happened, and there could have been a cool story here, but I guess it's not. It really is just, it shouldn't have been called The Beginning. It's just a Texas Chainsaw Massacre that happens to take place before the first one. There's no real cool stuff, that, no origins, Second big flaw, people responded well to the sheriff in the first movie. So you get the sequel, or, prequel, that comes around, and it's all the sheriff. He's more of the villain than Leatherface, and personally, I wasn't a huge fan of him, and it's all his show now, and I'm like, it's Leatherface. He's what people come to these movies to see, but it is so the sheriff in this movie, and I'm like, okay, this isn't what I want. I want to see Leatherface in this movie. And then again, it's also shot very wrong. I mentioned the first one was shot way too cleanly. This one, there's parts where it's shot where someone's being attacked, and there's parts where they feel like it's shot more like an action movie than a horror movie. They'll attack someone, will be like big action stuff. But more than that, they do this filter type thing where they're trying to emphasize the hot Texas sun. And it's like over brights and deep shadows, and then like lots of orangey sweat colors, and the color on this, it hurts to look at. I really didn't like that. And yeah, its biggest flaw though is it's super forgettable. It's every now and then I get one of these movies that when the credits are rolling at the very end, I feel like I've forgotten a lot about it. And when I was writing my outline for this review, I was really trying to remember, okay, what happened there? And I was watching the movie, I was paying attention, and it hasn't been too terribly long, but this movie is so forgettable that I feel a lot of it, just left my brain, and that's not really good. I mean, every now and then something wacky happens. There's one scene where Leatherface is in like a house or something. This girl is trying to escape one of the other family members. She's in a car driving away, and then suddenly Leatherface is at her window. Now, are you telling me that Leatherface just ran as fast as a van? Or was he somewhere else? Because I thought he was back at the house, and she's driving away from the house, full speed of this van. How fast did Leatherface go? But overall, this is just disappointing. I thought maybe it's this universe, but they're not trying to tell the same story as the original. I thought, okay, maybe with a little bit more freer ground, maybe it won't disappoint me as much because they're not telling the same story as the first one. Maybe the creative license, they can pull a new, cool story, but it's derivative of the first. It has all the first flaws. It's just more forgettable, and that promise of an origin story, on the back. The only thing more shocking than how it ended is how it all began, and it began, for the most part, exactly how you thought it would begin, and it's nothing special or big revelations or any real good story at all. It's the same as the first one, but more forgettable. And I know some people really like this movie, but I honestly, I don't see it. And if you do have any, maybe I'm missing something, if you want to, leave me a comment and explain maybe what I'm missing, because maybe I'm missing something, but I don't know. This movie, I wasn't a big fan of it. But if you guys were, hey, to each his own, right? But I don't get it. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You're really helping this channel out. I do primarily horror movies on here, so if that sounds like something you're interested in, I'd recommend checking it out. I'll leave a relevant playlist, should be my slasher movies playlist, if you want to see more of this type of stuff. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day.